Just a rebel with a lightsaber dream. Lost my hand, lost my friend, lost my self-esteem.
Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to the live Broken Tusk Podcast. Normally, if you've ever seen us on the internet, it's only through the internet, never in person like this. So, happy to be here. And if we are in person doing vlogs or a podcast or anything, typically we don't have a celebrity guest with us, which we do today.
Oh, thanks. You meant the shit. Oh, man.
I'm not comfortable with that term, but we'll all hang out for sure.
Yeah. Well, before we get into it, how's the convention been for you, man? I know I asked you in the hall, but
Yeah, like we were saying, I don't know, Star Wars fans, especially being a Star Wars fan myself, like Star Wars fans are the best, and I like getting the chance to just have people come by, and especially when they have like questions, or like especially with some, I'm sure we'll get into it later, some of the characters I've played, like real concerns or like stuff they need to air out. It's like, yeah, talk to me, you know what I mean? Oftentimes, because also like it gives me the chance to offer a different perspective on things, and I'm not here to convince anybody. It's just like, I think especially in today's day and age, it's so important that we hear each other out and like let everyone feel like they're being heard, you know what I mean? And listen to what other people have to say. It's been really cool. Yeah. Listening is the critical part.
well, I guess we'll do a little Q&A with you. That's kind of basically what we planned. Yesterday, when I did a little interview with you, you mentioned that you didn't necessarily have dreams to be an actor. So how did you get into like the video games and all that?
Oh God. How much time do we have? I'll keep this as brief as I can. So originally I was intending to, go to school and become a doctor. I went to Kona University and my degrees in brain and cognitive. Oh, really? Whoa! Oh, dude, me too. Rock on.
Awesome.
D-Mini, baby. Okay, so anyway.
LSM, I love it. That's awesome.
I love it. I went to school for brain and cognitive sciences, and while I was there, I got really, really sick. I was also, we talked about it a little bit. I was a very angry, very violent young dude. I've been trained in martial arts all my life, but I was trying to fill a deep-seated inadequacy that I had, I think, right? Like this feeling like I was never good enough. And so I got to a point where I got really sick. I was basically collapsing in the middle of my walks on campus to school and stuff. It turned out I had to leave the university on a medical leave, and the doctors thought I had leukemia, and then they thought I had lymphoma, and they were like, at this rate you've got a year and a half, and we're looking at removing your spleen and all this horrible, horrible stuff. And they couldn't really figure out what was wrong with me, and I talked to my Kung Fu master, and I was like, I'm really, really scared. And he was like, well, Noshir, you're all fire and no water. You do everything 120%, but you don't know anything about yourself as a human being. Maybe you need to explore the softer side of things, poetry or acting or something. And I was like, that is the dumbest advice I've ever heard. I wanted you to give me medicine with scorpions and lizards floating in it and tell me that I was gonna be okay. I was so mad. But I was kind of desperate, and the University of Rochester was right across the street from the oncology center where I had to spend a lot of time. And so I ended up enrolling there, and took an acting class. Hated it. It was, it's a bunch of woo-woo people doing stuff touching, feeling, and expressing emotions, and I was not comfortable with any of that. But my teacher made me audition for a play and cast me in a small role. And it was such a crazy experience to watch 40 people I didn't know all have a shared experience. And it scared the hell out of me, but I think it scared me in a way that I was I need to know more about what this is about.
Yeah.
Went on to do another play where I had to play a really terrible person, and I judged him really bad. I did not want to do this at all. And my director was like, Noshir, if you're going to do this and you're going to do it for real, you cannot judge this person. You need to walk in their shoes and find a reason to love them. I didn't really understand it, but by the time the show was over, I was so sad that I was no longer going to see this character again. It was like a friend that I was never going to see again. A flawed friend, but a friend nonetheless.
Right.
Shortly after that, the doctors were like, you need to come in right away, because I was getting my blood drawn all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, they're going to remove my spleen and whatever. And they were like, so over the last couple months, for whatever reason, your hemocrit is just like skyrocketing back up to where it should be. So we don't know what's wrong with you. If you've changed your diet or done something lifestyle-wise, just keep doing what you're doing. And the only thing I done was started acting, you know. But like, I think in playing that terrible character and learning to find parts of them to love, I kind of, in a way, found that for myself.
Kind of balance.
Healed.
Yeah.
Very Star Wars.
Yeah.
Super Star Wars.
And so like that's kind of where my acting journey began, and I've just kind of been doing it ever since.
Everything truly happens for a reason. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
really, really cool story.
And
I'm
my
glad you're doing better now,
master was right.
hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
There you go.
I'm grateful.
That's amazing, man. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
That was great. That's beautiful. If these guys want to, actually talk on this podcast, that'd be great.
So my question for you is, what was some like creative input, specifically with Bode as a character, that you kind of had to fight to get put through, that maybe you got some pushback on?
You know, I gotta say, that team was actually really amazing. Aaron Contreras was, lead writer on that, and just a man that loves Star Wars in a way that I cannot even explain. And there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen when you're doing a Star Wars game, like a lot.
Yeah.
And so he was putting out fires all over the place, and it wasn't so much that I had to fight for Bode, because I think my thoughts on who Bode was and his thoughts on who Bode were very well matched. It was more about like, so one of the cool things was like, I kept asking, I was like, I'd love to throw in some stuff, even if no one ever knows about it, but I'll know about it, and it'll make Bode more real for me. And so, for example, the first time Bode, you enter the cantina's not the right word, is it? But when you see Bode talking to Grease, there's a moment where Bode does this like, I'm a friend of Cal's, and what I was talking to Aaron about was, especially being a Jedi whose power is force cloaking and is always undercover, he's had to find ways to use, like take the hand gestures that a Jedi would use and hide them as like everyday normal parlance. So I wanted to put in those little things where like, he does it in a way that masks what he's doing much better than a Jedi who's overt about it. So like, I don't know if you'll see that in the game because I haven't played it, but like,
I think
he has a
now.
bunch of little moments,
I'm gonna be looking for that.
Yeah, and we talked about like in the scene where Cal confronts Bode and Kata's there at the Imperial base, right? One of the things I talked to Aaron about is like, because that was my first day working with Tajane, who plays Kata, and she's an incredible actor. But like, it's really hard to have chemistry when like you just meet.
Right.
And so one of the things I talked about was like, because I think we would have had to been so close as father and daughter. Happy Father's Day, Bode. Because like we were on the run for so long, and one of the things that I thought was important is like, Bode as a dad would have to tell Kata at some point, look, Daddy's gonna say some things to other people, and then he's gonna do something completely different, and you need to understand where I'm going with this. And so he taught her sign, right? So like, in the scene where I'm like, Kata, it's okay. You'll see him, like his hand just kind of twitches, but he's doing the okay for Arabesh, right? For okay, and like, and Kata comes over because she understands that's what she needs to do.
Right.
When I turn to her and I give her the backpack, while I'm talking to Cal on her lap, I actually draw the line towards the door, and then I give her like a 1, 2. I whip the table, right, and we go. And so like, you'll notice that Tajane as Kata and I were like really keyed in that scene in a way that like, it breaks my heart because like a child her age should never have to be that keenly focused, right? And she's focused that way because she's learned that her survival and her dad's survival counts on it. And so like, I thought those like, and most of the audience will never know that was in that scene, you know what I mean? But I remember being done with that scene and Cameron being like, that may be like my favorite scene we've done so far. It was, it was awesome, It was a lot of fun. And
Definitely.
Tajani's so talented.
Incredible.
Definitely be keeping a lookout for all of that stuff. We love that attention to detail and thought that you're putting into this, and it's great to hear that because obviously Star Wars fans, we critique Star Wars.
So yeah, too much
But
sometimes.
we really do appreciate. We love that. Know that you put all the thought and effort into that. I got a question for you though.
Oh yeah.
If there's any certain project or character that you would like to play in terms of a dream role, what would that be?
Oh man, that's a great question, and to be honest, I think the answer is I wouldn't know it until I do it.
Yeah.
Every character I've played, like Charles Smith, taught me a lot about being a good friend. Bode taught me a lot about being a father and trying to be the best father you can under terrible circumstances.
Right.
Every character I've played has taught me something new about myself because it puts me in a position that I'm not comfortable with,
Yeah.
And I have the feeling it's gonna be the role that at the beginning I hate, or not hate, but I'm like, why am I doing this? Like this
Right.
is dumb, you know what I mean? Or
Sure.
I'll just be like, and it'll be that role that challenges me to face a part of me that I would not willingly confront myself.
Right.
So I'll be grateful when that moment arrives, and every single role I've had has done that to some degree. But
Right.
yeah,
That's a great answer.
Awesome.
Well, yesterday we were talking, and I found out that you were a part of one of my favorite video games. I knew you did The Mandalorian in SWTOR, Star
Wrath
Wars:
of
The Old
Mandalore.
Republic, but I found out that you were Arcane, or you had something to do with Arcane. Tell us about that. Like, what? I just love this type of stories, man.
so this ties in a really cool way to Survivor, actually. So the stunt coordinator on Survivor is a man named Darren Ross, who's the most like he's like a superhero / mega dork all at the same time. Like this guy's amazing. And he originally worked at Blur Studios, which if you know anything about like any of the most epic cinematics that have ever happened in like the last decade, it's usually Blur. So Blur did the Division opening trailer. They did the Sacrifice trailer for Star Wars: The Old Republic, and it was some of the first mocap I ever got to do. And so that gig, they don't tell me what I'm coming in to do. They're just, hey, we're gonna work on a game trailer, and I was like, okay, cool. I come in and they're like, yeah, so this is for Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I was like, whoa, what, Star Wars? Like I'd never done Star Wars before. Like I was still very much a novice as far as acting in games was concerned, and like my brain was just exploding. And then they showed us they played the voiceover that Darren DePaul had done for Sacrifice. And like all the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I was like, this is gonna be intense. And then getting to play Arkan and kind of go through the journey of like this guy who, I mean, like myself, is never enough, right? In the eyes of his father, is never enough. And how that crushes something really, really important inside of him. Whereas his brother has found a way to live without it, right? Because he understands that he is enough, and yet his brother is the one that falls. Like,
Fight for the approval.
yeah, it was wild, and like that was such a cool story to be a part of. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
And like I should say, like there's a whole gag that happens right at the end when they confront their father and then the brothers fight, and a lot of that was done by a stunt crew. I can take no credit for the wire work and combat stuff and that. Those guys are just amazing, and the same goes for Bode. Like Bode would not be who he is without the stunt team that makes him superhuman. It's
Absolutely.
it's wild. Huge respect to Darren and his teams. They're awesome.
God, that is. I love SWTOR a lot. That's all I'm gonna say to that.
Dude, that scene where I got to kill, and it's like
You recreated it with our
looks
buddy
up, I was
JT.
like, "Ah!"
Shout out
One of the
JT
best, if
getting
not-
stabbed into the floor yesterday.
Yeah, that's when we've talked about it plenty of times on the podcast. Like those cinematics are honestly some of the best,
Cinematic
anything
thing.
Star Wars
Yeah,
we've got.
yeah.
And if we can kind of get some more stuff in that vein, I think we'll be okay.
I'm
Speaking
gonna.
of another Star Wars cinematic that I love is the Hunted short for Star Wars Squadrons. Have you guys seen it?
No.
Yeah. The
You
TIE Fighter.
gotta check
it's
it out.
amazing.
So I
you
played
guys.
Marco Gray in Star Wars
Fantastic.
Squadrons, right? And like they actually were like, hey, so we're doing this like cinematic TV trailer. It's probably the most Star Wars thing I've ever been a part of in like in an OG trilogy. Way.
Yes.
It's
The ending,
awesome.
ending
You
is
gotta
phenomenal.
check it out.
It's
dope.
like a very small little film.
Yeah.
It's
Reaction
very,
videos
very
coming
cool.
soon.
Yes. I hope it does. I hope it
Content
does.
soon. You touched on it a little bit, working with Cameron in that position and that character that he had. He kind of comes into our Star Wars universe almost alone, and then you just see him kind of growing with this character and bringing in all these characters within the first game, and then even in Survivor, just it turns into a whole village.
Right.
If you wouldn't mind just talking about what it's like to kind of work with him and like how that kind of situation came about. Because you just kind of fly in out of nowhere, in the second game.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the things that was really cool about the way that setup worked is like, I was stepping into a cast that had already kind of been melded together from Fallen Order.
Right.
And so I really was the outsider, both in in real life and in the game.
Right.
And as I got to know Cameron better, we ended up hanging out more, and he'd do workouts at lunch, and he'd be like, "You want to join?" And I was like, "Oh my God, we're getting our asses kicked." But it was so our friendship kind of really developed over the course of recording that game, the same way it does in game, which is awesome. Cameron loves Cal Kestis in a way that no one will ever understand.
Right.
I watched him on Survivor. So when you're working on a Star Wars game, you have obviously the dev team, you have someone usually from Lucasfilm there, and then you have a dude, the Star Wars guru, who has a Bible of all things Star Wars, because you can't do something that conflates with something from canon, you know what
Is
I
it
mean?
Sam Witwer?
It should be, but he's too busy kicking all the butts.
Yeah.
So for example, I remember being on set and they're like, okay, so Cameron, in this scene, you're gonna do this thing and you're gonna say this thing. I don't remember any of the details. And Cameron was like, I can't do that. And at first I was like, oh, is this Cameron throwing out his I'm Cal Kestis, Uno reverse card?
Yes.
You know? And I was like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And he was like, because in Fallen Order, in chapter whatever, we say this thing, and I go to here, and then I say da-da-da. So I can't possibly have, and I was like, my brain exploded, because I watched, this is the team that did a lot of the Fallen Order, and they were like, and they turn around, and the guy's like going through his head, oh yeah, no, he's right. And it was and I was like, bro, you don't mess around.
The
You know
fact
what I
that
mean?
he's
But
just
that's-
that little tidbit nugget that he has in the back of his brain just memorized
it's
and knows
important
it.
to him,
It's important to us.
Yeah.
We live for this, and to hear this stuff just gives us peace of mind and
Yeah.
confirmation that it's in the right hands, and that is perfect. That is
Yeah,
perfect.
man. It's I mean, for me, especially I've got a lot of firearms background and combatives background. So when I see a cop do like this, I'm like, what is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My wife hates it because she'll be watching a show and just trying to enjoy it, and I'll be like, what is he? And she's like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to enjoy the show.
Takes
Shut
you
up.
out of it for sure.
Yeah, and similarly, I think as gamers, we get that a lot, where it's I'm a fan. You guys should know better. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
And Cameron will go to the wall
Yeah.
to
Why
fight
he's become so
for
beloved.
Cal. Yeah. And to fight for the universe.
And for his
that it
poncho.
It is poncho. Yeah. More love for the poncho. Definitely.
Yes. Yes.
Crazy, man.
I mean, choose your battles, Cal. But anyway, yeah, he's awesome, man. I love that dude. Mad respect.
You
Got one more.
You got one more, Sklee?
Yeah, I'll say out of anything you've had, it doesn't have to be Star Wars. I mean, obviously, it might be. But I was going to say, what's been your favorite experience, or who has been some of your favorite people that you've worked with, or person?
Oh, jeez, man.
So hard to pick.
Yeah. I mean, like we talked about before, and I think most actors would probably say this, it's like trying to choose your favorite kid. You know what I mean? Like
It's
what
always
are you-
changing, too.
Yeah. And like every single role and every single project I've been on has taught me something new and amazing, and it's introduced me to new and amazing people that are awesome for different things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like if I was like, you know, forced at gunpoint to like say one, I mean, I think my time on Red Dead was really special only because I worked on projects that were like 3.5, 4 years, but like I've never worked on a project that was 5+ years. And I came into Red Dead late.
Yeah.
And it was kind of awesome to see like that every single member of that cast was like a wonderful human being outside of the volume.
Right.
And then you'd walk into the volume and you could like, you just watch these people transform, you know, into Arthur Morgan and Dodge and Micah. And it was wild, you know?
Yeah.
And that's one of those, man, where, you know, that's a legacy thing. Like, that is going to be up in the rafters forever. People look at some of the best games ever. I mean, to be able to say that you had a part in that and got to experience that firsthand is, I mean, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm forever grateful,
Yeah.
you know? I think that was my second PCAP gig ever. And it was awesome. It was awesome. I loved every moment of it. Yeah.
How did kind of the, I guess, the way that things worked and functioned differ between a game with this scale like Red Dead and, you know, Jedi Survivor?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think there's a couple of factors there. Rockstar deliberately, I think, like, you don't see Rockstar showing their thing at, like, you know, the Game Awards, like,
Right.
and I think a big part of that is, like, they make an active choice to, as much as any corporation can, have a project not be beholden to marketing.
Yeah.
Because when marketing gives that deadline, or like it's like, well, we need these things to be happening now because, you know, we've locked this in. That's like
They're really an enigma in that
Yeah,
regard.
yeah.
Nobody else is really doing that. Really
Yeah.
don't care with the culture of how they're putting this thing together and everything. And you, like you said, you don't really see that.
yeah, and I mean, like, they're also willing to completely alter things if they feel it tells the story. But like when I joined Red Dead, Charles was not a good dude. He was involved in torture and all kinds of awful stuff. And then like I tried a couple things and like they liked where that was going, and suddenly Charles became like one of the good guys in the gang. And
The story first. You guys
Yeah.
hear that?
but like in a game like that, you have to understand that also means that like every branching segment that comes
to
off of
change.
that decision has to be completely redone. That is
That's a ton of
massive,
work,
a tectonic change
Yeah.
to make when the
Can't be
core group
understated.
is only 10 people, a dozen people. So like their willingness to kind of like let that stuff go is wild, and I think not through any fault of anyone on the game teams, when you work for a property like Star Wars, there are so many things at stake and so many huge wheels turning.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of stuff you just can't do. You know, like I had so many things I wanted to do for BODE, especially like combat wise.
Sure.
That we just weren't gonna be able to do. You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think at one point a message was even passed down like, BODE cannot be cooler than the Mandalorian. You know what I mean?
No jetpacking around with your lightsaber, throwing it around, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like it was an amazing experience, but like I watched that team have to really thread a careful line, you know, because they've got like there's a whole TV property and film properties and like this property and that property, and everything has to come together in this massive universe. And then obviously the marketing behind that is also like a huge factor. So I think Rockstar is, if not singular, one of the few, other than like indie games, you know,
Right.
that can work that way. And
Definitely.
I think their work speaks for how that method, you know, their approach.
No question.
Yeah, because you see a lot of gaming studios now. It's like they have that deadline, they get the game out, and then it's like, okay, well the game is out. let's fix it now. Let's
Right.
do what Rockstar does before and pushes their dates back. Let's do that while the game's out. And it's so annoying as somebody who looks forward to these games. And it's like, I would rather every company do it that way, where they're pushing stuff back like ever so slightly if it's making the game better and more complete, rather than being like, okay, well, here's another $35 battle pack or something that you got to download so that the game works properly.
Right.
It's like,
well, and so let me say a couple of things about that.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to speak up first for the game dev teams. No one wants their product to come out on release day flawed. Like they are killing themselves to get it perfect, right? And I'm not. You weren't saying anything otherwise. I just, it's important to me that I say that out loud.
but there's also people out there who are thinking that,
Right, and like that's important to me because like one of the things that I try to communicate with fans as much as I can. And you hate on BODE, great. You hate on Rampart or whatever, great. Like, you don't like this choice as a performer, great.
Right.
That's art. You can choose that. And, I'm okay with that. I have to be okay with that. But if you start saying stuff like the game devs were lazy, I'm going to come at you.
Oh, it's not on the devs.
Yeah,
It's on the big wigs, the ones that are pushing the dates and all of that. Yeah, they obviously, they want to have their best work, but I get that there's larger powers at be.
Yeah, well, and it's hard, right? This is an art, but it's also a business. And
It's a
if
hard
you don't
thing.
make money, you don't get to make that art anymore. It's a really hard thing. It's like film production, It's a similar thing.
Verity was going to say the same thing. It's true.
And we are seeing right now a time when game devs are just getting butchered. Companies are releasing award-winning games and being closed as a reward.
Yep.
And so, or worse, they're making projects that then are never going to see the light of day. And they put, 5 years. You have to remember, as a game dev, like on Red Dead, if I worked on it for 5 years, that means Rockstar was probably working on it for 7, 8 years, right? Now imagine you work on a game like that, and then the company gets shuttered, and it never gets released. That's 7 years of your hard work you don't get to talk about. No one gets to see what you've done. Like, that cripples your resume. Like, you know what I mean? And so there are devs out there who have kind of been left completely adrift because the venture capitalists and whoever that are kind of running things don't understand how art works, much less how games work.
Right.
And are just looking for the quick monetary fix.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to start seeing that pendulum swing the other way.
I hope
it's
so.
untenable.
I've been hearing this as well, and I really hope so. I think with media in general.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's hope so. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're going to find is you're going to get companies that are going to release the massive multiplayer things where it's pay to win and and that's fine. And if you guys if gamers want to play that and have fun. But then you're going to get these boutique art studios doing really profound human stories with human actors, human storytellers. And that's where I want to be,
Yeah.
And that's the stuff I want to do. So
Some of those games are.
Those are the ones that stand the test of time.
yeah.
I mean, I remember I've never really gotten emotional from a big market video game. I think for the most part. I mean, I got a little at the end when Katya's singing. I got a little emotional there. I was like, dang, man. And I get mad too, when we're sitting on the top of the I forget what the name of the planet, but you're sitting up there, everybody's having dinner, and then BODE does what he does. That got me a little emotional, but these indie games, man. I don't remember the name of the game, but I played one and I was just I had to pause it. I was crying. I was like, this is emotional.
Yeah.
Emotional. And it's just a small little drop in the ocean of,
Yeah. Well, what I love about games is something that you don't find in any other medium. You don't find it in film. You don't find it in books. You don't find it even in most theater. In video games, you are an active participant because, if we do it right, your choices matter.
Yes.
Your decisions and your decisions make a difference in the world of the game. And so, no wonder fans feel such a strong ownership and so passionate about the games they play because they are an active participant in that process. You don't see that in any other medium, And I feel that's why human stories like Red Dead, the Jedi series are so important because we're not like little kids anymore. We're gamers that have now grown up and we realize the world is not black and white. The good guys don't shoot, you know, red lasers and the bad guys shoot green lasers or whatever. That's just not how it goes, you know?
And bad guys don't jump out of the tank before it explodes. Like, it's really bad out there sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And like, we're getting to tell those stories and like, and make sure that, you know, people understand that like, it's okay to feel that way, you know, but there's also like good things happening and we need to be grateful for those too. So like, gaming is a storytelling medium that, I kind of pinch myself every day that I get to be a part. It's wild.
We're thankful you got to be a part of it.
Oh man, give me both. Thank you, sir.
Of course. So, well, I don't really have anything else.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much for
Ah, really?
coming on and
You were
talking
like,
to
oh my
us.
God,
Nah, man, I'm
Lovely-
thrilled. I'm
lovely
thrilled.
character.
Thank you for the insightful questions, and yeah, I like hanging with you guys, man. Let's do it again, okay?
For sure.
Absolutely.
I want to know what you guys think of the hunted short. I really want to know.
When we get you on, this is a very opinionated group, and it doesn't always have this in the news, so it's gonna be sick.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's what I should do, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I love it.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you to Michael Havens, the ICCC team. Thank you to Noshir for showing up
man.
and hanging out and talking with us. Thank you to all of you guys for being here.
Shout out to JT
JT
for
Lovecraft.
helping us with a lot of different celebrities over the weekend. Remember?
And we'll shout out Kyber too. I love that guy. And my wifey.
Oh, and for all the dads out there, happy Father's
Yeah, happy
Day.
Father's Day to
Father's
all the
Day.
dads out there. All right, well, that's all we got. So
May the force be with you always.
What do it?